On the 5th of June 2025, elections for members of parliament and municipal councillors were held in Burundi, and the process raised serious concern for several actors in the field of human rights and peace building, including the INAMAHORO Movement. We take this opportunity to express our concern and deep regret at the process of these elections. For the INAMAHORO Movement, these elections took place in a climate where several fundamental issues concerning democracy, citizen participation, rule of law, and respect for human rights were completely ignored or simply flouted. Consideration of the fundamental principles of inclusion, transparency, and impact on the most vulnerable populations, particularly women, clearly had no place in the entire process. While intended to be a moment of free and sovereign expression for the Burundian population, these elections were marred by serious irregularities and violence, particularly against women. Already in the pre-electoral period, a climate of fear and intimidation had taken hold in several parts of the country. For example, on May 15, in Kiwuye, in Isale commune, members of the CNL were attacked, and among the victims was a woman seriously injured. These acts of violence were committed by Imbonerakure, the youth group affiliated with the ruling party, with the cover of certain local officials illustrating the illegal use of institutions for political repression. On the day of the elections, observers deployed on the ground noted numerous blatant irregularities, including the following: the opening of polling stations before the set time and without the presence of all the representatives, the selective access of observers and representatives to polling stations according to their political affiliation, suspicions of ballot stuffing during the night, the lack of neutrality of the members of the polling stations, and repeated violation of voters' rights, in particular by accompanying voters into the polling booth and the use of multiple voter cards by the same person. In addition, gender-based violence and abuse were committed against women. For example, in Nyanzalak, a woman was beaten and then arrested simply for asking a legitimate question about the freedom to vote, asking whether voting for the CNDD-FDD party was an obligation. In Bubanza, Diane Bigirimana was arrested for denouncing attempted fraud. Another woman carrying her baby was slapped because she refused to comply with illegal voting instructions. These facts are indeed extremely serious and reflect a dynamic of oppression of women during this electoral process. These actions constitute a violation of the Constitution of the Republic of Burundi, particularly Article 88, which stipulates that elections are free, transparent, and fair, and Article 89, which refers to impartial elections. They also violate the Burundian Electoral Code in all its dimensions, particularly Article 36, which provides for the opening of polling stations at 6 a.m., and Article 38, which provides for the principle of political neutrality. The provisions of the Electoral Code, which provide for the secrecy of the voting booth in Article 39, and for the verification by agents and observers that the ballot boxes are empty before the vote were also violated. Burundi has also failed to meet the international commitments regarding respect for human rights, in particular by violating the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women and the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, particularly Article 17, which stipulates that states parties reaffirm their commitment to organizing regular, transparent, free, and fair elections. In the light of the above, the INAMAHORO Movement, Women and Girls for Peace and Security, denounces the acts of political and sexist violence perpetrated before and during these elections, calls for an independent investigation into all irregularities and violence recorded, with particular attention to cases of gender-based violence, urges the international community to closely monitor the situation in Burundi and to support all efforts towards justice, democracy, and respect for women's rights. We reaffirm our unwavering commitment to a Burundi where every voice counts, where every woman is free to vote according to her conscience, and where peace, security, and democracy are not a privilege reserved for a few, but a right for all.